Yeah, we're gonna talk about this. So I really wanted to have this year be more uplifting, fun, wholesome content because 2020 was dire. And, even though I've had a few upsets starting out this year, I wanted to go into 2021 being ready for a new future, ready for some good moments, ready for, this all to turn around. But y'all gotta get on some goddamn tomfoolery.
Now where do you think you're going?
So, if you're in any way knowledgeable about porn in the most basic sense, chances are you have heard of Helix Studios. They are very famed and well known for being a more twink-oriented studio that has birthed a lot of big names in the industry. Blake Mitchell, Angel Rivera, Joey Mills, just to name a few. And one of the issues that comes and goes with this studio is that people don't ever seem to retire peacefully. Granted, of course, there are people that haven't made extreme announcements, but for the most part, it just doesn't seem like there's ever an amicable parting with Helix. There's been a lot of drama going back at least the 5 years I've been watching the industry more closely on social media. Because prior to 5 years ago, I didn't really have social media, so I can't speak to it before then. But it's been so consistent to hear things about Helix Studio again and again. And just now, one more thing has happened and popped up. And I wanted to talk about it because, I have always talked about how I love porn. I do love the images that we can get, the stories, the ability to express things beyond just the cum shot, beyond just the sex. And, well, I've never been, a fan of Helix Studios. They do have scenes with the people I like in them that had sort of stories or imagery or concepts that I did find good meaning in. And if you were on my previous channel, you probably saw me react to some of those and spin off and talk about how they were, lovely to me in a way, and how they presented a certain discussion point or a certain aspect of gay culture or gay lives or romance, etc. One thing I have also always pointed out is that everything is about the model. Everything is about the performer, the person who is putting in the actual work into a scene, into giving of themselves. And in all cases, and it doesn't matter if it's a studio like Helix, where there is all kinds of scandal, if it's a relatively good studio, it doesn't matter. Ultimately, the performers are the people that we should have a bias towards with listening because they're the actual people involved in the performance aspect. They're the actual ones putting themselves and their bodies and their sexuality on the line to create this product. A studio, no matter how big or small it is, a studio is ultimately a company, and as a company, ultimately is going to be looking out for the bottom line. So, don't go ahead and stand studios. And I know I've shown some favoritism and definitely had my own biases with studios, and I still do for as long as they continue to put out content that I find enjoyable and uplifting and positive, and as long as there is no real major continual scandal around them. But if there is a scandal, if something does come out, if people are spilling stuff and dropping facts, I'm going to listen to the performers long before I listen to anyone involved in the studio. Jordan Lake on May 2nd posted these two tweets. That this was his last day working with Helix Studios / 13 Red Media. He started working for them 7 months ago. So again, he is a newcomer, okay? This isn't someone who, had their full-on career, did all their scenes, and was already an established name before leaving. This is someone just started 7 months ago. As he says in his second tweet, which is smaller here, so I'm hoping that this video will come out properly, but he does say that, he's been disrespected and belittled over and over again during his duration with the studio. Told many things that just didn't add up, told to keep things in the dark, which really ties in with everything in this whole, like, debacle. That studios will tell people to cover things up, and they'll put you in non-disclosure agreements, and they will, manipulate you in order to keep up their presentation, to keep up their image. And he says he expected to be respected and taken care of, but he was wrong. Moving on next, here is the resignation for Eli Bennett, the other model involved in this. And again, he is a very recent addition to this team, 9 months. And it's shocking to me because, when you consider the previous scandals and such, like, these were some longer, they lasted a longer amount of time before they decided to up and leave and get out of this toxic environment. But these are happening in such a short duration of time. He became immersed with their environment and found out every dark and secret sin that surrounded the company, and it was his task to keep quiet and keep the illusion of their environment thriving. And he was put through so much emotional distress, was never in control when it came to filming, was even in pain or uncomfortable, and just told to stop being dramatic. So, after these 2 initial posts by Eli and Jordan, the staff, quote-unquote, of Helix Studios decided to get involved, and there was a lot of things calling them clout chasers and trashing everything they were saying and being very aggressive and frankly unprofessional. And of course, some people pointed out this isn't actually a full-on proper staff member. It is a director who is essentially hired and on the same level as one of the actors. So take that as you will, but still, this person did take it upon themselves to represent the company and to counter these claims against the company. Anyway, after that happened, Eli Bennett decided to go ahead and post more receipts. Now, I'm going to read through this, and I just want to point out there is a slight quote-unquote typo here, where he does say the word B-roll, as in, scenic footage and such. That would be spelled B-roll, whereas in this draft right here, it is put together as one word that looks like brawl. So, in case anyone's reading along or whatever, or looks at this, or sees it on Twitter, they can understand what that means, just in case. So he says, I had a scene on Thursday, April 27th, 2021, but I woke up with a stomach ache and asked to film B-roll footage as we were doing split days and we've done with every movie ever. Casey agreed, then it got cancelled and moved to Friday, April 30th. We were going to do B-roll and sex same day due to Casey's last-minute decision. Come Saturday, the scene was cancelled due to an emergency, and later that night on our Helix group chat, I saw Casey at a party when we could have been filming. At a party where there was no social distancing, by the way. I didn't eat all day. Casey ordered food for everybody in the house but me, as I was under instruction I was filming. Then at 4:15 p.m., Casey tells me that we were going to then do it Sunday. I woke up Sunday morning because I was told to be there at 11 a.m., but woke up to a text at 6:11 a.m. saying my scene was cancelled. Afterwards, I was then blamed by Casey for my scene being cancelled because I wanted to switch the B-roll day and sex day. Cameras are on, microphones are on, regardless, they just didn't want to work, blah, blah, blah. And this is a repeating problem that happened all across all models, and the disrespect continues to grow. So, this ties into something that is going to come up next. Essentially, what happened is that Eli did have to cancel the scene because of feeling ill, because of, his own problems, which is a legitimate thing. No porn, in any sense, should ever be filmed when a performer isn't feeling at their best, when they are feeling sick. First of all, that's going to translate onto screen and just look awful and be a turn-off and just not be good. Second of all, it's just common decency. You really shouldn't have to be told by your performer that, oh, I'm sick, I really don't think I should do this, and hold it against them. It's just awful. So this stuff goes on. This was started on the 2nd. The 3rd, 4th, 5th go by, and on the 5th, Helix Studio finally releases a sort of proper press release to address this issue. And it's shitty, it's crappy, but you know what? I say finally because they didn't do anything on the 2nd except have, Max Carter and some other people just go around trashing anybody who dared speak out and just be total bitches. And then they went ahead and deleted a bunch of those tweets. And it was just a disgusting mess. So on Helix's website, they released their press announcement. They put it on their Twitter. And it's a fucking hot mess. So they start off like almost good enough to like make it sound like they're going to address this properly and fully. It starts out, I would like to address the situation that erupted on Saturday evening between former models Eli Bennett and Jordan Lake at Helix Studios. First off, I apologize to Eli for the cancellation of his Saturday filming plans, which was already a postponement from Friday. ... at Eli's request. The reason for the cancellation was not given to him at the time because there was too much unknown by us, and his tweet about leaving Helix came before we could openly discuss things. This is a major part of this, so keep this in mind. Around noon on Saturday, I was personally involved in a domestic violence incident at my house. As the incident unfolded, I reached out to my employees who lived nearby. They immediately dropped everything and raced to my home to help. By the time they arrived, I was already in an ambulance to be transported to the hospital. The stress from the scuffle resulted in my heartbeat becoming dangerously abnormal. Shortly after arriving at the ER, just after Helix directors Casey and Max were let back to see me, hospital staff cleared the room and administered a defibrillator shock to restart my heart. Thankfully, the doctor's quick action saved my life. However, Max and Casey were left in the waiting room with no information on me for the next few hours. Casey canceled the scene shooting for that day and simply said it was due to an emergency, as my condition was not yet known. A short time later, the nasty tweets started, and eventually a video accusing me of some horrendous things appeared online. I absolutely deny every single one of the awful accusations claimed by Eli and Jordan. Dating or having sexual relations with models has always been my red line. It is known within the company that models are strictly off limits, and I have fired employees over taking advantage of our talent in the past. The rule has always been if you are sleeping with me, you can't also be a model. No exceptions. It has been this way since I started the business 19 years ago. I am devastated to have discovered the accusations upon my return home from the hospital. In no way did I take advantage, drug, or behave with misconduct towards anyone, especially the most important part of my business, the models. Eli, I am sorry you were not told the nature of the emergency, but Casey did not know what was happening as the emergency was unfolding. I don't understand where these accusations come from. I have always done my best to promote and advise our talent to becoming as successful as possible. I apologize for making you feel taken advantage of. Let's take a look at a few things. So, first of all, literally this whole thing is a complete roundabout of avoiding the myriad of actual points that Eli and Jordan made over the course of the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. It basically drips everything down to the cancellation of the shoot that Eli mentioned. And because this statement only wants to focus on the cancellation as like being the only legitimate issue going on here, I am also going to do that as I dissect this frickin' response. In the very first paragraph, and the only paragraph where they actually like talk about the models involved in this or anything, he says the reason for the cancellation was not given to him at the time because there was too much unknown to us. Going on from that, it says that at noon on Saturday, by the way, Saturday would be the 1st. So, noon on Saturday, he was involved in a domestic violence incident, blah, 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 blah. The stress from the scuffle resulted in my heartbeat becoming dangerously abnormal. Alright, so, people from the studio were contacted, and he has an irregular heartbeat. So he is being sent to the hospital post-haste. They follow along. They are allowed into the room to see him, it says. It says right there, shortly after arriving in the ER, and just after the directors Casey and Max were let back in to see me, hospital staff cleared the room and administered a defibrillator shock to restart my heart. Okay, let's stop here and dissect this sentence. First of all, let's go to the very end of it, where it says, restart my heart. That implies, right there in the writing, that his heart had actually stopped. And, okay, so, if his heart had stopped and they're doing a defibrillation, that probably means that this had happened very, very fast. Not just that it was, this is probably going to happen, so, we're going to do this if you could just wait for like 10 minutes. No. So, looking at this one sentence, what we are getting as an image is Casey and Max are there with Keith in this hospital ER room, and all of a sudden something goes wrong and his heart basically gives way. Then the room is cleared and the defibrillator comes out, shock, and he is saved. That is the image that this text is giving us right here. So, we go on, blah, 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 and Casey canceled the scene scheduled for that day and simply said it was due to an emergency, as my condition was not yet known. Wait 1 fucking minute. At the very beginning of this paragraph, you literally have given us all the information anyone would need to be able to say what the emergency was. Why did you need to have a full all-facts press release style amount of data and information just to tell your models and your staff that you were canceling? You had a heart problem. The 2 directors go to see you in the hospital where your heart apparently gives way right in front of them. They have to be escorted out so you can be defibrillated, etc. Where in that do they not have enough information? Where in that do they not have anything to say beside its emergency? Why not say, yes, we have to cancel this shoot. Keith's in the hospital. His heart just gave way. Keith's in the hospital. His heartbeat's irregular. Keith's in the hospital. They just had to defibrillate him to restart his heart. Literally every bit of information here, is there. And it says next 4 hours. So they were sitting in the hospital for 4 hours. They had all that information. Who knows what else there might have been. We're supposed to believe that they just sat there with nothing for the past 4 hours. But even before those 4 hours, they had enough information where they could have conveyed this. All right, next paragraph. A short time later, the nasty tweet started. Okay, so he says noon on Saturday. And then so 4 hours later after that when is meeting. So we will say that the shoot was canceled at around 4 p.m. according to this. And a short time later, the tweet started on the 2nd. Eli posted May 2nd at 8 p.m. Jordan Lake posted May 2nd at 8:06 p.m. Both of them posted on a Sunday late evening, whereas the entire set of incidents that Helix is citing, that Keith is citing as sort of the issue here, happened on Saturday between 12 and 4 p.m. And then he goes on to list all these things and say all of, the good stuff of saying, I would never do any of this scandalous conduct, except this isn't the first time someone has said this about you, is it? This isn't the first time someone has made these complaints, is it? So I'm zoomed in just to avoid the nude ads on their website. I love you guys, but come on, I'm trying to make a video here. I don't want to get demonetized. I don't want to waste time blurring a whole section of the bloody background. Anyway, Straight Up Gay Porn put up their article really, really fast, literally on the 2nd as well. Performers Eli Bennett and Jordan Lake started their gay porn careers at Helix Studios back in September of 2020 and January of this year, respectively. And today they've made something of a joint announcement that they've each quit working for the Las Vegas-based Twink Gay Porn studio. The resignations were first posted to Twitter just hours ago, and both stars have made serious claims of misconduct by Helix, with accusations of dark secrets, disrespect, belittlement, and a work environment that Bennett described as a glorified hell. Bennett and Lake are real-life friends and roommates, which explains why the announcements were made in tandem today, as the two have discussed their experiences at Helix, and they agreed ahead of time when to post their tweets. And they've appeared in several of the studio's movies over the last 6 months, including Return to Helix Academy, Stealing Hearts, and Quiet on Set. Both Bennett and Lake have previously filmed scenes with Helix and will presumably be released in the coming weeks, and they're the third and fourth high-profile departures from the studio this year. As you'll recall, performers Cade Fox and Trevor Harris also quit working with Helix back in February. I remember that. And of course, this again was an article that they snapped together perfectly and timed well at the second when they had uploaded. So this was very fast. So of course they say, as a post-time, Helix Studio has not responded to Straight Up Gay Porn's request for comment, and the studio has not commented publicly on Lake or Bennett's allegations. Performer-turned-Helix director Max Carter, however, has been commenting publicly, both in subtweets and in direct replies, not only to Bennett and Lake, but also to Angel Rivera, who himself left Helix in 2019. Here are some of Carter's tweets and replies, along with more from Rivera, Bennett, and Lake, who reveals that the cast of Stealing Hearts was infected with COVID-19 after filming in Texas last year. So, Max Carter, I remember this one, this tweet, when people be wrong. And then, when people act like victims for clout, which is basically what all of his tweets over this were about. He basically was just saying clout chaser left, right, and center. It must have been his dictionary word of the day. And then, of course, there was all kinds of little fun bits like this with Casey, where it was like, were you the victim when I let you live in my house for a month? You pretended to be my friend and then pull out this bullshit like I somehow wronged you? It's okay to quit, but have some damn class. Lived at your house for a month? Do you mean when I was filming for your movie? I only stayed at your house when I needed to. Oh, you're right, that was Jordan that lived with us for a month, but still, how the hell did I mistreat you? Honestly. After this, and all this stuff, we move on. Jordan Lake, on the 5th, after Helix did their, press release, their public announcement, blah, blah, bullshit crap that doesn't address anything, really, Jordan Lake decided to post his own set of tweets responding, and oh my god. He starts out, I would like to make a public statement about the past incidences that have been going on over the past few days. First off, I would like to say that I am completely moved by all of the support I have been getting. Per Helix Studios statement made Wednesday, May 5th, 2021, the same day, by the way. So, I am deeply saddened by what happened to Keith Miller. Over the last few days, I've received many personal messages from a variety of persons regarding Helix Studios. At this time, I will not name the names of those individuals, but what I can say is that we are not in this alone. The actions that have gone on have been happening for years, and unless we all take action, it will continue to happen. Over my 7 months working for Helix Studios, there were times where alcohol and illegal substances were offered. I was made fun of for my lisp, my acting skills, and how I would present myself. I was told from Casey Roman that my acting skills were shitty and that he doesn't know why I'm here. He continued to say that I am a WeHo fag because of how I dress and talk. There were multiple times when I would be called a garbage disposal, or that I needed to know my place underneath their shoes. I cannot let this stand for any model or anyone of that sort. I would like to thank everyone for their ongoing support. Sincerely, Jordan Lake. Well done. The point is that being a victim of domestic violence does not invalidate any of these accusations. It doesn't change any of the things that have been brought against you as accusations and as testaments to your character over the past 5+ years. Eli Bennett also released a statement on May 5th after Helix, and he really went in. You can see how tiny I had to make everything here to fit it all in. So, let's get into it. Today, May 5th, Helix Studios released a statement about the allegations that were made against Keith Miller himself, later explaining that Saturday around noon he was attacked and that was the reason my scene could not be filmed. I am saddened to hear what happened with Keith. However, it seems a little off that Casey then went to a party that night while we could have filmed our scene instead. Keith then states how dating or having sexual relations with models has always been my red line. Keith Miller has sent me money via PayPal and Apple Cash for sexual clothing and paid me in cash to dance for him and his friends on his stripper pole on numerous occasions, also having me bring friends to participate, both male and female. On April 2nd, Keith Miller texted an ex of mine and said, "If you're free tonight," mentioning a trusted friend, "is here, you could stop by." He agreed. Later that night when he arrived, there were drinks he never poured himself, food and a legal substance, all provided by Keith Miller. He then stated to me that they drank, hung out, and he said he had a headache and that he felt off the majority of the night. He woke up the next morning with no memory or recollection of the previous night in Keith's bed. He was then informed about how Keith, him, and Keith's friend had a threesome later the next afternoon. He believes that he was drugged and taken advantage of by Keith Miller. The same situation happened to me back in January, so when I was told that, I was completely shocked. This is not the first time this has happened, as I've been told from previous models who have asked not to be identified. The statement that was released on behalf of Keith Miller mainly addresses what he experienced Saturday evening versus an explanation on what was actually brought to light. On numerous occasions, models are offered illegal substances and alcohol from Keith Miller himself, as well as Casey Roman and Max Carter. There will always be denial and victim blaming, but my main concern is this happening to somebody else. I did not post my original statement out of spite or anger. I posted it as a warning for any future models debating on working for Helix Studio. All allegations that I had talked about, I have both photos, videos, and text message proof, just in case they still want to say I'm lying for clout. Eli, like I said, has posted some of it was probably Apple Pay thinking about it because he didn't mention Venmo, but he did post screenshots of some of that, and he has said that he will post other things as it needs to. Basically, they are not going to be playing all of their cards at once, which I think is smart and good, because they have already had people respond, the people at Helix, responding to these things and trying to discredit them, and then they go ahead and post their receipts, as you will. Moving on to some other things, Angel Rivera, as Straight Up Gay Porn and other things have said, was also posting about this, and on May 2nd, he brought up an old tweet that he posted back when he left, and I'm going to read them first. So, he said, "Never knew grown-ass men could act like bitches, insinuating I don't know what's going on when I've personally been affected. I don't get mad, I bloom." 2 years later, he quote tweets that to mention, 2 years ago, bro, grown men still acting like bitches. Let's organize this time about the wrongdoing of some twisted people. And he did so many other tweets, like just slamming into this, doing so good, really uplifting and bringing things out. And then, of course, there is this. I have blurred out bits of it and distorted a face just to be safe. But, how about from 5 years ago, one of Keith's parties, we've got 2 pictures of Max Carter, the clout, you're just doing it for clout, you're just clout chasing guy, snorting ketamine off a model's ass. Keep in mind that Helix Studios is a twink studio, and a large majority of their models are between the ages of 18 to 20 to 21. Sometimes older, but that is like the large median age variance for their models. So, yes. Even, of course, granted, ketamine, coke, all these drugs, they're not going to be legal at any age, but there is, I would say, something especially sinister about it being given and offered freely and used around an under 21-year-old. Especially since there is no doubt that there was also booze involved in this party and, other things that under 21s are not supposed to be around. And of course, we can say, come on, everyone under 18 is drunk, everyone under 21 is drinking. Like, it's just a legal thing. You're a studio, Max Carter, director or otherwise, is a representative of that studio. Keith is definitely a representative of the studio. All of these people had a responsibility, and here is a good depiction of at least one of those people not upholding that responsibility. This wonderful, fantastic moment. Dating models has always been a red line. You dated Daniel and got him so addicted to ketamine that he jumped off your roof. Grow the fuck up and take responsibility for your actions for once, instead of trying to change the subject to something completely unrelated for sympathy. The tweet that he is quote tweeting is actually their published apology, but it doesn't show up properly because of the fact that Helix Studios on the 5th basically went around and started blocking everyone who was talking shit about them. I haven't been blocked by Helix yet, although I hope I will when this video goes up publicly. I did, however, get blocked by Max Carter, so small victories. I'm relevant. Finally, we're going to end this off with what Joey Mills said in response to someone saying, I believe in the studio, I believe in you guys, like, fuck these models, fuck Joey Mills, fuck everyone. And yeah, Joey said this, which I think sums everything up perfectly. When there's 15 plus models who have left over a 5-year process, all saying the same thing, maybe you should start believing them. This whole statement was nothing more than a way to change the subject and get sympathy. To end this video, I am going to be directing you to something I will be linking in the description down below, which is Angel Rivera's petition. Well, I don't know if it's his, I have to actually check that, but he posted it. He's like the first person I've seen to post it, so I'm just crediting him with it. But a petition for a full investigation into Helix Studios and potentially also shut them down. I do think this is incredibly valid. I think that these are things that we cannot allow to continue. Like Joey Mills and Angel and the others have said, there are multiple people. Joey Mills said there are 15 models over the course of about 5 years, all talking openly about these kinds of issues going on in the studio. There's who knows how many more that haven't been disclosed or don't want to disclose who they are, probably because they're still currently working there or it's still in some way indentured to the people at that studio. So yeah, in conclusion, Helix Studios is disgusting, vile trash. Keith is a disgusting, awful person. Max and Casey might not be that bad, but they are enabling and defending a studio against the actual people who are victims and speaking out. It is all a lot of mess, and in the end, I'm going to say do what is the right thing, do what is the best thing, and that is support the models, support the performers, support those people, alright? This has been me talking about this whole situation with Studio Helix. If you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe, go inside the petition. And, of course, remember, life always gets better as long as you work at it brick by brick. See you guys in the next one.